Hey, my wonderful, beautiful people, a pleasant evening to you. Now, there is a term that many people may not be familiar with, but I think they know the alias name to it. It's called misattributed paternity, aka jackets. We call jackets in Jamaica. In other words, so that you can get the correct meaning, misattributed paternity or paternity discrepancy. This occurs when a man is incorrectly identified as the biological father of a child. And it says the percentage of such cases varies across countries and regions due to cultural, social, and economic factors. But reliable global statistics are challenging to find because many cases they go undetected or unreported. The global estimates, though, I said I wanted to get something and I was checking different sites. So studies suggest that the global rate of misattributed paternity or paternity discrepancy, aka jackets, may range between 1% to 10%, depending on the population studied and the methods used. However, some small-scale studies in specific regions have found rates exceeding 20%, though these exceptions are not reflective of global trends. All right, so, I said to myself, I needed to understand, really the root cause. Or as close to as possible to the root cause of this phenomenon called jacket, misattributed paternity or paternity discrepancy, because it is a nightmare to a man who believes that a particular child, male or female, is his natural born bred child, and to find out in the long run that something was, I suppose, pushed upon him that really was not so. And all his dreams, so to speak, become shattered. And I thought about it and I said to myself, why would women be so cruel to want to put men through such an evil act of letting them believe that this child is theirs when they know it is not? And usually one of the the popular ways in men finding out is when they're filing for the child or children. And a man was saying to me, what the men tend to do is that before their heart comes through the mouth, is that they look to see if the names are on the list. If the names are not on the list, when they go to pick up that document, then you know that the child does not belong to you officially by birth. And I really thought about it, and I got this sort of unction from God, I guess. God, and I say, I guess because I wanted to really research it, to match it up with the unction that I felt, and I saw it. And I said it to somebody before seeing this research. And it says countries or regions with limited access to paternity testing. Now, when they say limited, maybe it's not on a wide scale. But I mean, now in this 21st century, it's open. And, and I guess anyone can do it. Do the DNA testing or the paternity testing and find out. And it says high levels of extramarital affairs or certain cultural norms might report higher rates. And it says some studies have suggested higher rates in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, some say Nigeria, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And I was looking at another study that said, in Jamaica being the highest, high as 34.6%, and Nigeria 30%. And I said to myself, one of the things that the study says that will basically, they work in tandem with each other. So the misattributed paternity or paternity discrepancy, high levels of extramarital affairs. And what came to my mind is that quite a number of these women, they will have children by men who are more than likely, I say more than likely because hardly you find a single man, especially at a certain age, more than likely is a married man. Married man, or maybe he's in a common law situation, or he's out and about with his main squeeze, his main girlfriend, and you cannot get up and tell your boyfriend, whether he's a main or the sub, that the child is really not yours. The child is really for a married man, predominantly, because nothing else really added up. It just made no sense to me. And it says it here, high levels of extramarital affairs. The woman can't come home, come tell you, say she had sex with a married man and it is a married man's child, because she cannot destroy his home. We would have more bloodshed on the land than we could ever count, whether reported or unreported. And that is a big part and parcel as to why our percentage is 34.6 in Jamaica, and I guess, as they say, 30% in Nigeria. It is a sad state of affairs. While having the affair, they have the affair unprotected, ungoverned. There's no security fences around the unprotected sex. It is, as it says, unprotected, not secured. Not to say that that type of sex is a secured type of sex, because in and of itself there's so many breaches to be found. It is a wrong act. It isn't illegal on the books, but it is immoral. It is unethical. You put it in that category. And so, men, some of you are big contributors to why the jackets are around. Because the woman can't get pregnant by herself. And she, unfortunately, and I use the word unfortunately with compassion, she can't come home and tell you that I cheated on you, but guess who I cheated on you with? The man is married. Because predominantly most men, especially at a certain age, they're married. They have been married. You know, a big man taught me that years ago. He said, listen to me. If a man reaches a certain age and he's not married, apart from maybe saying he's like what you call him again, the monk, and he's really focused and dedicated, and these men are rare. You know, he's in the alphabet crew. Because men don't like to be alone. Men can marry women that they don't even love, just so not to be alone. Just so not to be alone. A psychologist was doing a study and posited that information. So then ultimately it comes back to you again. One of the weaknesses in men is that they have failed to take responsibility. This has been since the day of Adam. And you notice his punishment was probably a little bit deeper and greater than Eve, even though Eve was the direct contact. But he failed to secure the fence. And even when the fence was breached and there was, an intruder came in and it was brought to his attention, he still took a part of the ammunition and the firearm that came in. He never stopped it. He didn't stop the hemorrhaging. He didn't stop the bleeding. He joined in with the hemorrhaging and the bleeding. And to this very day, men have failed to take responsibility. Look at our homes. Most homes are headed by women. Single parent homes. Can you imagine if women were to act like men? Where some men, I've heard this from my ear, where some men say, if the woman and I end, the child and I end, whether it's my child or not. Can you imagine if women were to speak like that? Many children would die. They wouldn't get a chance to become an adult. So many comes back to you. The extramarital affairs. It's a man. She can't come home, come tell fear man, say, he's a married man, she have the bikini with. Not to say the woman is right. But too many of you men are caught with your pants down. Should a woman take responsibility? Without a doubt, of course. Guys, you know what to do, read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe and give me a like.